Hey, what's up, guys? This is Oakley, and this is going to be a 3 versus 3 massive battle, and it's going to be a fun one. There's going to be a lot of players. Myself over here holding the right flank, one Steven Seagal, and then one Disco Biscuit over on my left flank. Let's go ahead and look at the troop composition. I believe we're all playing with, we're all playing with traditional forces. So on my very right flank is going to be the Katana Cavalry. These are going to be melee cav veteraned up, so they're going to be very good. And then I have Matchlock Ashigaru on my right and Matchlock Warrior Monks. So these guys have a little more range. My anticipation is to push up with some Yari Ashigaru and long Yari Ashigaru, just to be a very good holding force. Spears and Matchlocks can hold out against a lot, especially when in the woods and backed up by Katana Cavalry. So hold that back. Over in the center is where I'm going to try and push up. I have two of my bow cavalry units, a very heavily upgraded pink warriors fighting out in the forest. I love these guys. I call them hit and run because they're upgraded to have very high reload skill, accuracy, extra damage, all that stuff. So very good bow units. I like to use them to poke and prod at my opponent, get him to mess up his battle deployment, and then pick off key units. Backing that up with some Yari Cavalry just to help fend off enemy cav. Then in the center, what I'm pushing forward is two really heavily upgraded Naginata Samurai. These guys are very heavily armored. Again, I'm fielding a lot of these pink forces, but yeah, they have a lot of armor, and I like to stick them in the forest where they can hold out for a long time. The anticipation is to get my opponent stuck on these guys. They can't kill them, and they get blobbed up. And then I circle around with my hit and run bow cavalry, do damage around the perimeter, turn my matchlocks to do damage in the center. So a very rock hard, defense over in the center, plus very hard to get rid of forces on the right. And then over on the left, what I have is Lone Sword Ashigaru. I call them Lone Heroes because they're very highly upgraded. They should do well. Then two Lone Sword Ashigaru. No upgrades on these guys. Cheap fodder units to kind of swarm back up my Naginata Samurai. General in the rear. And then I have more guys pushing on the left flank. Two of these Katana Cav. No, Emperor Saddle. These are another guys I have, which is going to be Yari Cavalry. So that is my deployment here. Just went over this pretty quickly. Over in the center, have mixed lines of infantry, bows in the center, and cavalry pushing to help hold the front. And then over on the left side, more traditional setup where you have attendants, matchlock, and Naginata Warrior Monks in the back. So these guys are going to clash in the center. I want to just cover my side of the battlefield for the most part. Let's go ahead and look at what my opponent is bringing to the fight. He's going to have two Yari Cav generals unit here of Katana Cavalry, and a mixed line. No matchlocks, it looks like, in the front line. He's going to be pushing up with bow warrior monks, extreme range units, Deikyu Samurai, and Yari Cavalry. So he's going to push up through the center. He has his avatar bodyguard. This is going to be the general here with bow, and he's going to be unleashing against my own units in the distance. I should be able to trade pretty well against him, but a lot of these bow generals do actually fare pretty well in bow engagements. When he's pushing around on the left flank, my opponent did not quite see me somehow. I think because I was in the forest, and I get the charge on his Yari Cavalry. They don't even get the charge bonus. I'm going to get that advantage. He's going to throw his guys in into disruption. We're going to charge up the center with light cav, just pull these guys into the mix. As they start to get pulled in, we're going to be able to do more damage. But anyways, I just threw some of my Katana Cavalry into this fight to try and do damage, pull more of his guys in, and what it's going to allow me to do is push up this left flank, start to get my guys in position. My bows are going to be shifting around. I'm going to send up my shield of Naginata Samurai in the center. And mostly I'm just going to be circling around my opponent. My cavalry here was finally kind of beaten back. He does have bow warrior monks, going to be doing a lot of damage to my guys. My Ashigaru wall, however, is starting to get lined up, backed up by some matchlocks, so this is going to be enough to force his cavalry units back. And I have some Yari cavalry here to force his cavalry back if they try and engage with my men. And like I said, they're going to try and skirt around my shield wall here. That's why I'm bringing back some bow cav, and then I'm going to charge out with my Yari Cavalry to try and catch his guys. The main idea was to bring his guys into range of my matchlocks and be able to finish off his cavalry. It looks like his bows are going to try and do as much as they can to prevent that, doing a lot of damage against my matchlock warrior monks. It looks like they haven't even gotten a volley off. There it goes, finally going to engage on his cavalry, and I'm going to get in on the mix. So while that's happening here, let's kind of, we've taken account of this side of the battlefield. Over in the center, the opponents are going to start clashing. They're pushing forward with some attendants. These are disposable units just to force our guys back with fire and light cav. Going to push that flank, pushing up the center with the classic sandwich of attendants, matchlock, and Nodachi. So they're going to start to contend up through there. And then over in the center, our opponents are going to start smashing each other. Basically, Naginata Tenants and Meat Shields against Naginata Tenant and Meat Shield. They're going to take mostly a defensive position up here. And it looks like we're going to kind of actually win the dojo on that front. Now we can go back and enjoy this side of the battlefield. My opponent is actually having his ally help defend him. And they're going to be throwing a lot into this part of the battlefield. I have more of my Yari Ashigaru and other units here. However, they're going to take out my Matchlock Warrior Monks, which is kind of a big problem for me. If I lose those guys, then I, lost a huge rage advantage I could potentially have. But look at what he's thrown into this. These very highly upgraded Yari Cavalry would have, liked to do more damage than be tossed up against a half-depleted unit. And then we're going to be able to chew into those guys. Again, the usefulness of these Bocav means they can go anywhere extreme damage is needed, move them into position, and then they basically help clean up any engaged forces. My opponent is going to throw everything into these Ashigaru units, which is good trade for me. He wants to get rid of my matchlocks because I can deal damage from a distance with those guys. Once he gets rid of those forces, then he can clean up with his bow warrior monks from a distance, so not a terrible tactic. Over in the center, he has Katana Cavalry moving in the front. Katana Samurai, I should say, pushing up through the front. I'm just going to pull back my Naginata Samurai until I feel comfortable. I'm going to start moving in some of my reserves. Let's put this on slow motion. I'm keeping some of my matchlock guys here and my hit and run Bocav just to do preliminary damage. Start to chip away at his Naginata Samurai. And over here I have Yari Ashigaru to soak up a lot of his bows. Over in the center, our opponents are kind of trading back and forth. This is more of the traditional fight where you have attendants fight each other, then the second line of kind of Nodachi and Katana Samurai are going to square off and deal damage. So we're not quite sure who's going to win this fight, but our ally has sent some of his cavalry over to this flank, which is going to turn it actually in our favor. He's going to deal damage to these matchlocks, disrupt the flanks over here, and then over on this position, the yellow army of one champion is actually going to be holding our forces back, but we have enough matchlocks to be able to deal damage, and we are going to be starting to exchange Naginata Warrior Monks against Nodachi Samurai. So I'm not quite sure who's going to win this, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to allow this battle to just draw out slowly. Meanwhile, we're going to feed some of our cavalry into this fight, help clean up this battle itself, and I am also going to be holding back this battle. We're kind of just trying to funnel forces into the center. And you can see I have some more reserve forces. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to strike through the center and hopefully knock out the opponents in the middle. Then we'll be able to split our attention on either flank. Our opponents have done what they wanted to do on this flank here. Stars Gamer, I think is his name, is using a lot of his bows from a distance to chip away at my forces. It's going to force me to go back into the woods. That's fine. I'm good to hold it in the woods. I'm going to shift my cavalry over to this side. I kept these guys on hold their fire until my opponents got really close, which allows me to get some really nice shots into them before they're able to retreat. So I'm doing a lot of damage against those guys. I'm doing a lot of damage against his meat shields here. And then my bow cab is going to be here, get some shots off, and then I have some very cheap lone swords that I can throw into his now pretty depleted guys. My ally is going to throw a lot of forces into the opponent's front ranks. So charging that all, let's put this back on slow motion. So what happened here is kind of both forces came and smashed into each other. So there's no real remaining force left over here. My remaining units, these are my guys here, are going to be pushing up through the center with one of my Lone Sword Ashigaru, help to clean up this fight. It looks like we're kind of decimating the enemy force. Keep in mind that these are our forces here in the black and pink. The opponents are going to be the blue and yellow. So we kind of smashed them here, destroyed them, and then we're going to send forces over to the flank. So for example, my Yari Cav and Katana Cav going to go over here and help clean up the remainder of the yellow forces who are sort of tied up in the front, but they aren't absolutely destroyed. We still have a lot of remaining forces. I just want to send more guys to help them out, and it looks like we're even going to send some of our Yari cavalry over to that side. Meanwhile, over here, I'm just going to kite my opponent. I'm going to keep my bows. These are very good units for this. I just keep my bows up front, target specific unit. His warrior nuns I know have almost no armor, and so I'm going to target them. And meanwhile, all the rest of my guys are just going to pull back. No need to engage, and my opponent basically has his range advantage, but they're all being used over here, tied up in the forest against my guys. Not much he can do, and I'm going to meanwhile pick apart his forces and just bide my time. He's now going to charge into my guys. I think I'm going to get them out of there. Last moment, just barely. I'm going to try and pull him into my match like Ashigaru. And so yeah, just doing more and more damage against these Katana Samurai, tiring them out, pulling them out of position. It looks like he's going to try and bypass this force over here. Probably a good move. My meat shields here, my Nugget and Samurai, are going to be thrown into this fight, hopefully catch his guys as they try and engage the center. He's going to try and break through this central position, which is maybe a good move, but my Bocab are simply going to pull back, and then I'm going to flank around on the side over here. And again, these guys harassing from a distance. And yep, over on this flank, you can see we're going to be completely digesting the guys over on this side. And like I said, these yellow forces did have a good defensive formation, but we circled around. And then my cavalry and our allies' cavalry, these are the black and pink forces, are just going to come around and surround. Now let's watch a little bit of this on the up close. Right here with the remainder of our guys. So yellow forces are going to be going down. One champion basically triple teamed here. That fight should be going to us. The center was basically an obliteration of both forces, and then it's going to allow us to finally turn our attention to cleaning up the enemy forces. The Stars Gamer guy, like I said, I was just able to kite the whole time, pull back. His bows are finally, they chewed away at my guys, but then I used my very high armor guys to hold his guys in position. Use my Bocab to just continuously kite his forces out in the open. You can see him trying to chase my guys away, but every time he does, I just pull back to more of my forces and shoot some arrows. The remainder of his guys are going to get, caught up on some of my forces. Then I'm going to just charge in with the bodyguards unit, and then once I disengage, cavalry can then turn their attention on whoever it is. So yeah, I'm going to disengage one of those. The other one I'm going to leave 55 against 12. I figured I could clean that up, so pretty good trade, I think. And then the rest of my bows are going to form up here and try and shoot as his Kachi. Yep, there you go. Hit and run Bocav, still alive, still doing damage. Going to clean up the remainder of his guys as they try and reinforce this position. And then Lone Sword's going to continue to clean up. I think the battle has basically been won at this point. They still have some of their bows, but they're all clumped up, and I still have one Katana cavalry unit closing in on this position, plus another Lone Sword Ashigaru unit pushing over there. Over in the middle of the forest, combined force from myself and my allies, cleaning up the remaining forces. I know this is confusing with banners of various customization and color. Not quite sure what's happening here. It's a little confusing, but hopefully you get the gist of what's been going on. Gonna charge his general's unit with my own Katana cavalry, and then chase away the remainder of these minty fresh archers with my own guys. And it looks like some cavalry, not wanting to miss out on the fight, are going to be charging in. These are our allies' cavalry, and they're going to be coming in to clean up some of the opponent archers here. So we're throwing everything into this fight. Just very good swarm tactics, I think. And there you go. We've been able to clean up the remainder of this force over here. All our guys coming out of the woods to come and watch what's happened. A lot of yellow forces lying on the ground. So clean that up, and now we're going to come and chew through this army here. It looks like there's only one force left. But yeah, pretty good tactics. Overall, the gist of it was we kind of held ground on both sides, destroyed the center. I continued to kite, sent some allies over here. We destroyed this, then we mopped up the center, and then we mopped up my forces over on the right side. So that's kind of how the battle went. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry for the confusion, but that's what happens with custom units and flags and avatars. Hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace out.